Hey Kelly, it's Nathan here in Richmond. I thought I would make you a quick video to show you how to replace the optical drive in one of these Compaq dx5150s. I started off by shutting the computer off, and then I unplugged it. And you know, if we've never told you this before you're going to be working on the inside, it's always a good idea to hit the power button a few times to make sure any power that's stored inside the capacitors is dissipated. The next step, you're going to want to loosen this little attachment in the back. Grab the whole side panel, this should slide back and come off. You have to forgive me, I'm trying to hold the camera and do this at the same time. Okay, so this is the drive that we want to remove, at least in this particular PC. That's the optical drive here. Okay, so a couple things. It's actually attached in several places. First of all, you have this Molex cable, which represents the power. So you're going to want to take that out, and these can be tricky sometimes. Sometimes you have to really rock them back and forth to get them to come out, and so being gentle while at the same time pulling back. Okay, the second cable you need to take out is the data ribbon, and so what I like to do is I like to grab it underneath and on top. This piece right here is the piece that's actually made for pulling it out safely. But I like to grab both pieces at the same time, and this one you don't have to apply quite so much force to. You just really gently just rock it a little bit in there, and that should pop right out. And this is the one you have to be more careful with, because these ATA drives have pins, and so you kind of got to be careful with that. Okay, so now we need to get the front of the case off, and to do that, you've got these three green arrows here. And so I'm going to start off by, it's actually, you press this little plastic tab in front of the arrow to loosen. I'm actually pushing it in toward the case. Press it in, the next one you press it in, and you'll actually see the front of the PC actually move a little bit. I have a feeling I'm probably going to wind up dropping this because I've only got one hand. And so you just kind of got it. There it goes. You have to negotiate these little click tabs until they actually move. And so now I have a big piece of fuzz stuck to my finger. Okay, so I'm just going to push on this gently, and hopefully it'll start to swing around. I can feel a little bit of resistance, but I know I just need to rock this thing back and forth a little bit until it pops off. That clicked real loud. It's nothing to be scared of. Just these tabs on the other side have a tendency to hold a little bit better than they should. Okay, so now that's off. So what we need to do next, these HP drives, instead of being screwed in with 4 different screws like they are in a lot of cases, this one is in a quick release tray, which is really nice. And so, I don't know how well you can see this, but there's a little tab right here. If you pull this tab forward, you can see that it's going to allow that screw to slide forward, and so you pull the tab towards you gently, and then this whole drive should move. Yep. And so once the drive moves a little bit, you should very easily be able to take it out again. And for this part, you're going to want to have a flathead screwdriver on hand. I don't know if I can get these real good, because these 2 on each side, these are going to have to come out and go in the same spot on the new drive that we sent you. Okay? So once you have that done, I do want to show you the pins. These are the pins that you're going to have to be careful of when putting the drive back in. You know, you don't want to bend these. These are pretty tough. You know, these pins on the other hand are not so tough, and so you just need to be careful with that. But I'll show you real quickly how that's done. Okay, so once you have the new drive, the screws put in the new drive, you basically just find the same channel that you came out of, and it should, you know, very easily slide back in again until it clicks. Once you have that done, let's just completely reverse the steps. Okay, so you've got these 2 tabs, 1 and 2. Those have to go in first, and you'll see a place down in the chassis where they actually slide into. Once they're in, you should be able to bring this back around, and this should click right back into place. And I check the front of the case to make sure that the drive is seated properly and pretty level. You know, we're not going to be picky about it, but at least make sure it's where it needs to be. Okay, so on this data ribbon, I don't know if you can see this real well, but there's a notch. Okay, that's real important because the drive, the data ribbon receptacle on the back is notched, just like this. And so you've got to line that notch up with the notch in the drive itself. Probably should have showed you that when I took it out, but let me grab another drive out of the rack and I'll show you what I mean. As you can see, the place on the where the data ribbon receptacle is notched as well. And so you're going to want to take that plastic notch that's in your ribbon, and you're going to want to very carefully line it up with the notch hole in the back of the drive. So it's almost always to the top, and I know that this one in this case is. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to kind of try to get down low here, and I'm going to start to line the cable up. And usually what I do is I just kind of gently slide it to where I think it should be, and then I make sure that I can feel where that notch is. And then it's going to take a little bit of pressure, but you're just going to slowly push until that cable is completely seated and it's not moving anymore. Okay. Luckily, this is will probably be one of the last ATA drives you have to replace, because everything's moved to the much newer, much easier to deal with SATA. So we're going to take the Molex cable for the power out of the same one it came out in. I don't know if this will be the same thing for you, but in this particular PC, that optical drive that we sent you didn't want to work on the last Molex cable in the chain, but it worked perfectly with the second one, so that's the one we're going to go back with. And you can see that the Molex cable, it's not really easy to see, but it has a very distinct shape to it. It's going to be flat on the bottom with a kind of slanted shape at the top, and the slanted shape is actually what goes to the top. And so I'm just going to kind of get it in here, kind of gently rock it back and forth. And these, like I said, you got to apply a little bit more pressure too than the data ribbon, but you just want to kind of wiggle that around. I know you couldn't see that because I actually had to grab it with my other hand, but you're going to want to wiggle it around until it's in there real good. And so we've got our power, we've got our data, we know that it's in place, we've got our front replaced, and so now really the only other thing to do is to put this side back on. And I don't know if you've had these off before, but they've got these they've got these little grabber things that slide into these channels. So these little grabber pieces here slide into these channels here, and so I'm just going to do my best with one hand to try to line this up. Once it's lined up, just give it a push, put your screw back in, place your power, and you should be good to go. Alright, be sure to call me if you have any questions or you need any help, and I'll be glad to help you. Thanks.